At 2 a.m. somewhere over the Midwest, a baby's cry cut through that fake blue cabin light like a fire alarm. People shifted, sighed, threw looks toward first class like daggers, and I sat in 27C pretending to scroll while counting the beats between screams. The dad up front looked wrecked, not dramatic movie wrecked, but I haven't slept in weeks, wrecked, tie stuffed in a pocket. Shoulders slumped, eyes glassy in that way grief gives you. And the little girl in his arms was cherry red, arching her back, pushing away like her whole body was yelling. A guy in 2A did the slow headshake, loud voice, the whole performance. Some folks laughed under their breath, like cruelty was free with a ticket. And I felt that old heat in my chest, the kind that says either you stand up or you go home hating yourself. I'm Tessa. I work with kids. People label difficult. I read behavior like sheet music. And that night, every note screamed overstimulated, wrong angle, too much adult anxiety leaking into the air. You know what I mean. I unbuckled light, pinged a flight attendant. Block stepped into the aisle. First class is restricted, ma'am. And I said soft as I could. I think I can help. She looked me top to bottom, doctor, babysitter, back to your seat. And before I even decided if I should argue, the dad looked up with eyes that said please and said, let her try. I came slow, palms open, asked her name. Ivy whispered hi. Like a small song shifted her belly across my forearm, so her ear could settle and her spine could release, lowered my voice so my nervous system felt like a porch swing. And within 10 seconds, the scream cracked, the sob softened. The breath went heavy, her fist unclenched around a curl of my hair, and 30 rows of strangers remembered how silence feels. The attendant cleared her throat. I misread that, thank you, and I said it happens to all of us. Judgment is faster than listening, while Mr. 2A muttered something about manuals and naps, and I just threw him a look that said, compassion is cheaper than first-class tip as you like. The dad told me his name, Grant Whitaker, meant nothing to me until half of first class sat up straighter, like money had walked in. Wearing pajamas, he said. His wife Lila died last year. He said his mom got sick. He said, it's just him and his daughter and a company that doesn't care if babies nap, and that sounded a lot like the families. I sit on floors with the ones who love hard and still feel like failures because the brochure never mentioned nights like this. I slid into a bulkhead seat the attendant found. Ivy slept heavy on my shoulder, and we talked low under the engine hum about tiny tells before meltdowns. The yawn that's not a yawn, the hand that pushes away the father's chest, that tightens like a warning siren, and how babies borrow our nervous systems, so if we hand them calm, they cash it in. A woman in diamonds leaned over. Are you a baby whisperer? No, ma'am. Just patterns. And practice, she asked. If I worked with families, I said yes. I told her my dream, a center called Harbor Light, for the messy middle, when kids don't fit the brochure and parents are drowning. And she slid a card into the seat pocket. Breakfast tomorrow, if you want to talk real money, and... Yeah, my hands shook a little. Carla, the attendant, came back with a blanket and an apology that wasn't showy. I was rude, long night. Thank you for teaching me, and I told her curiosity beats pride always. When Ivy stirred, I handed her back, slow switch, right to left to right, and she tucked under Grant's chin like home. That man exhaled like he was emptying a decade. It's quiet in me, he whispered. Not around me, in me, and that right there is the thing I try to teach for a living. Dawn bruised the windows, pink wheels dropped, and on the way down he blurted the clumsiest rich guy sentence come to Miami for the weekend. Help me help her, I'll cover costs, no pressure. And my old self would have said no to stay small, but that plane had already told me what to do. Yes, one weekend. I'll show you everything I know. The wedding was in a garden that smelled like Florida, trying to impress itself. His sister Paige cried when Ivy scattered petals without screaming. Tomas, the pediatric nurse, watched my hands like he was filing techniques to use on night shift. And the diamond woman, Vivian Chen, showed up like a plot twist, said, "Bring me your messy notebook and your honesty in the morning, and I'll bring a wire transfer." And yeah, that happened. The twist wasn't just that a billionaire wanted to help, or that a stranger believed in my napkin sketch. The twist was watching a man who'd been judged by a plane full of people learn. In real time, he practiced noticing before the storm. He lowered lights. He softened his voice. He counted his own breaths like they were rungs on a ladder. And Ivy, the same kid who'd shattered that cabin, fell asleep against him mid-dance while the band played something too loud, and he didn't flinch. After the cake and the toasts and the aunties, he stood in the doorway of a little quiet room I'd set up, jacket off tie, hanging like a white flag, and said that sentence that changes courses: "Don't let anyone talk you out of Harbor Light. If money is the wall, it can be the doorway. My daughter deserves a world where someone like you builds something like that." I had 100 reasons to deflect. Pride, fear, the internet. And I still said yes, not to him, to the kids whose behavior is just a message nobody wrote a dictionary for. 9 months later, we opened Harbor Light in a retired church in Charleston, soft yellow walls. Big windows, infant room facing trees instead of asphalt. Toddler space with nooks for kids who need less, and a runway for the ones who need more. Parent classroom next to the babies so you can learn within earshot. A respite program where you can hand us the baton and go sleep behind a door that locks for 2 hours. Mrs. Alvarez running the family kitchen, because feeding people unties knots. Dr. Elena Ruiz on our board staff, who didn't flinch at big feelings, and a waiting list that told me the brochure had been wrong for a long time. The news crew wanted the airplane headline "Crying Baby" to community center cue soft piano, and I told them we don't do miracles here. We do practice and patience and room layouts that don't punish sensitive kids. They aired the piece anyway. Donations came from a barber in Texas and a grandma in Ohio, and a flight attendant named Carla wrote, "I was there. I judged fast. I learned I'm better at my job because she stood up from 27C. Of course, the internet split, like it always does. The video, "Someone took on the plane," popped up 6 months late and 3 layers short. Comment sections turned into courts. She had no right to touch that baby. The billionaire bought redemption points. Women are expected to fix everything for free. Where's the praise when flight attendants get screamed at, and then 2A showed up with maybe the only comment he owed the world? I was the jerk. I'm working on it. Meanwhile, real life kept happening under fluorescent lights. A little boy with a trauma history bit through 2 shirts and 3 sets of expectations before he learned a sand tray could carry more anger than a jaw. A mom sobbed in our parking lot because someone finally said, "You aren't a bad mom. You're an overwhelmed human. We can help a teacher quit on a Thursday." And we covered the room with leftover courage, and Ivy, older, louder, safe, came to visit and marched down our hallway like she owned the morning. So here's the part that might make you roll your eyes or lean forward, or both. Did I cross a line when I stood up from economy and walked into first class? Or did I step across a line someone else drew too small? Did Grant throw money at a problem systems should fix? Or did he do what people with power are supposed to do when they see a gap and have a bridge in their pocket? Did the calm that fell over that plane belong to technique, or to the miracle of 3 strangers deciding judgment could take the night off? I don't pretend to have one clean answer. I just know this behavior is communication, presence, beats perfection. Compassion is a currency that spends in any cabin, and I will keep showing up on floors and in aisles and in rooms where families are drowning to say you're not broken, the match is. If this hit a nerve, tell me, was I right to stand up? Was Grant right to step in? What did Carla owe me? What did 2A owe all of us? Where have you seen class or bias or quick judgment? Decide who gets grace and where did someone change the ending? Anyway, drop your story, argue with me, teach me something. And if you want more messy, honest tales from the places where kids teach us how to be human, hit subscribe, share this with the person in your life who could use a harbor, and I'll see you next time.